Reimagining Success, episode 147.
You're listening to Reimagining Success, the podcast where we help you reimagine your future, designing a life and career beyond the 9 to 5 that allows you the freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment that you've been dreaming of. I'm your host, Anna Lundberg. Now, let's get started on those dreams.
Hello there, welcome back to the Reimagining Success podcast. I'm your host, Anna Lundberg, and we're looking at building that life outside of the 9 to 5. And so as we speak, if you're listening live, but probably if you're listening anytime, because really this is something we're always working on in the One Step Outside community and the Outsiders community. But as you speak right now in August, we are running the 9 to 5 escape plan workshop. So if you'd still like to sign up, if you sign up today still, you can join us, onestepoutside.com/escape. And if not, if you're listening later in the year, which I'm sure many of you will be doing, you can still check that URL, onestepoutside.com/escape, as we do run this workshop a couple of times a year, and there will be other resources available for you too in the meantime. So we're talking about building this life outside the 9 to 5. And what we're going through in the escape plan, to give you a bit of a teaser, is the 5 pillars of building that life outside the 9 to 5. And these are my 5 pillars that I've developed and formalized relatively recently, a couple of years ago. But in reviewing my websites now, I'm relaunching both my personal brand website, annalundberg.com, and the business site, onestepoutside.com. I've been reviewing blog posts and I've got the SEO agency working on that, which is great. Hopefully will make a big difference. Search is actually a big source of traffic for me already. It's the biggest, in fact. So it can only get better, right? Lots of people finding me, hopefully, through all the articles I've written. However, looking at the articles from a very early stage, I was talking about these 5 themes that I'm introducing in these 5 pillars to you today. So this is to say, this is not just a random thing I've come up with this morning to talk to you about. This is something that's rooted in research, in my own personal experience, in years of reflecting on this, reading, immersing myself, learning, training as a coach, working on my own business, based on my own business and branding experience in the corporate world as an entrepreneur myself, and of course now working with clients for the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years or so. So really robust, really strong framework, which absolutely sits at the core of all the free content I do, podcast, Facebook group, blog, and so on, as well as the paid programs I work with my clients individually and in a group. Of course, they continue to evolve, and I'm always working on making things more clear and strengthening and improving and so on. But really the foundation, the fundamental principles apply. So with that little teaser, what am I talking about here? Well, to give you a bit of a background, especially if you're new to the community, I quit my job back in 2013, and I quit without a plan, as the headline goes, right? I didn't really know what I wanted to do instead. I just knew it was not this. It took me a whole lot of twists and turns, from traveling and just enjoying that crazy freedom initially, to almost taking another job, to falling into, as it were, a consulting business, which was very successful financially. I had lots of freedom to travel in between and so on, really worked well for me then, to then discovering coaching, studying, certifying, training as a coach, to going through what I like to call my hippie phase when I wasn't earning a lot of money, but I was having an amazing time, to traveling the world, to then focusing more on my business, to falling in love, to having children and rooting myself now in the UK, originally in London. Now we've moved to the South Coast. I'm looking out now at the beautiful blue sky. Don't quite have the sea view here in our next house maybe, but certainly it's just a couple of minutes away. So all that to say, there have been twists and turns, and that initial decision to quit my job in 2013 was only the beginning. And so if you're at the beginning, congratulations and best of luck with that initial step, because it's a massive step and you're so courageous for considering it. You're so courageous for having taken it. It's a huge commitment. It's a really exciting and life-changing moment. If you're further along, you'll know, as I do, that it is that first moment, right? It's one of many brave decisions you're going to make. And we're in it for life. We're in it for the long haul, right? So there will be twists and turns. You may get confused by, hang on, I have all these different ideas. Is this the right one? Is that one? What do I want to do? What should I do? You'll inevitably have dips in your results and therefore also in your confidence. You might see things as failures. This hasn't worked as well as I hoped it would. Do I need to pivot? Do I need to change completely? People might give you negative feedback. Frustration, you're working with difficult clients. We talked about setting boundaries last week, and maybe you're not getting paid enough and clients are really contacting you at all hours and giving you a hard time and so on. You're anxious. You don't know when you're going to get your next client. How is this going to work? And then, of course, if you don't have those boundaries, if you don't take care of yourself physically, emotionally, mentally, then you may ultimately burn out. So you may have created a rod for your own back, created an even worse, or at least as bad, cage for yourself as you had in your corporate life. So again, I've developed these 5 areas to focus on as you make your business and your lifestyle viable for now, but also for the long term. And there's, of course, a balance between having that big picture vision for the future on the one hand, in the future, looking ahead, and being pragmatic and practical in the short term. And I don't want to say compromising, but you may choose to work with clients, work on projects, experiment, explore, be curious in a way that will help you learn, get all important income while you're setting up your longer term business and so on, right? So it's not about getting it perfect from day one. It's knowing, hey, I know my bigger why. I know what's important to me. I know why I'm doing this, why this freedom, flexibility, fulfillment is so important. And I'm determined to, and I will create that in my life and business. It's just going to take time. So without further ado, let me introduce the 5 pillars to you. Again, the names have evolved over the last few years. So if you listened to previous episodes some time ago, they may sound a little different, but again, the core values are the same. So the first one is to identify your personal definition of success. Second pillar is cultivating confidence and resilience. The third pillar is choosing the right business model. Fourth pillar is building an effective personal brand. And the 5th pillar is designing flexible work-life integration. So I'm clicking through as I look at my scorecard here, which I have, which you can get, by the way, at onestepoutside.com/5 pillars. And 5 is the number 5, onestepoutside.com/5 pillars. And you can tick the box, as simple as that. There are 10 statements for each of the 5 pillars where you can check how you're doing. And if you're at the beginning of the process, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. If you feel like you've got a low score across these, that's great, because that means that there are clear priorities, clear actions you can take. And of course, if you're further along, it's always great to see where you're a bit stronger, where you have some opportunities. But the first one, that definition of success, it's about being clear on what really matters in your life and business. Knowing what you don't want, your push reasons for wanting to escape the 9 to 5. Knowing what you do want, your pull reasons. Knowing what matters to you, who matters to you in your life. Knowing what you enjoy doing work-wise, jobs, tasks. Knowing what you're really good at doing. Knowing the why that's driving you, knowing how you're going to be wanting to spend your time. I talk about your sort of ideal day. That's a great exercise to do. Knowing, of course, what financial success looks like for you, and more broadly, what does success mean to you? So that's your definition of success, the first pillar. Are you clear on what really matters in your life and business? Pillar 2, do you feel equipped to deal with the inevitable ups and downs of working for yourself, right? So whether you're afraid of that feast or famine roller coaster, or you just feel reluctant to let go of that really stable salary, there will be ups and downs. They get smoothed out over time. Certainly if you diversify your income streams, if you have a portfolio career, it's going to be much more stable and more secure, in fact, than having an income with one employer. But there is that uncertainty, right? So this is about having the confidence in yourself, knowing, believing, having the faith that this is going to work out, having the internal resources and the external support as well to help you through this process, to be focused on a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset, as Carol Dweck would call it, to be looking for solutions rather than focusing on the problems all the time, to have that inner strength and confidence and not just be reliant on external validation, which so many of us are, and it's really tough, to be part of a professional, supportive community, whether online or offline, to have a support network of friends and family cheering us on, and to have a coach, a mentor to guide you, to help you through that process, right? So that's pillar 2, cultivating your confidence and resilience. Pillar 3, do you have the right business model? Do you have a plan for how your business is going to successfully operate? Having a clear vision, having a strategy that's going to guide your decisions, knowing who your ideal client is, knowing how you're going to solve what problem for that client, knowing the products and services you're offering, and of course, having the pricing in place that's going to get you to your financial goals, that's going to work for your ideal clients. Knowing how you're going to reach, how you're going to attract those clients, how you're going to convert those prospects into clients, knowing what you need to invest in to make your business work, and consistently bringing in that revenue to the business. So those are all things. A business plan, basically, a business model, is how you're going to bring in money, is the fundamental definition, I guess, officially. For me, it's how you're going to achieve that broader, meaningful definition of success. Pillar 4 is building an effective personal brand. So building an effective platform that's going to consistently attract clients. So you need to be clear about your elevator pitch. Have a professional website, of course, that's right away communicating who you are and what you do, knowing what you stand for, knowing your value proposition, having that ecosystem and funnel that's going to bring in the right people to you consistently, growing that audience, helping them know, like, and trust you, building your credibility and authority. And of course, ultimately, you have to have confidence in yourself and in your services to be able to sell yourself and to sell your products and services. And finally, pillar 5 is designing flexible work-life integration. Finding a way to balance your business with everything else, right? I prefer work-life integration over work-life balance. It's knowing where and how your business fits into other priorities in your life, knowing the hours you want to work, having those clear boundaries that we talked about last week, having proper time off that you've planned, being able to turn off when you want to, evenings, weekends, holidays, integrating your personal, professional appointments and calendar so that all works for you so you don't have clashes, and learning to say no to the wrong projects, the wrong clients. Ultimately, it means having that freedom and flexibility that we all dreamed of when we started our business. So those are the 5 pillars of building that life outside the 9 to 5. Again, we are working on the 9 to 5 escape plan over in the, I was going to say in the Facebook group. In fact, we're running it on Zoom this time around, so you don't have to be part of the Facebook group this time. If you still want to join, do message me. You can get me on Instagram, Facebook, wherever we're connected, LinkedIn. I'd love to get you in today still, as we're starting today. You can also register at onestepoutside.com/escape. And we'll be working through these 5 pillars. So this is for you, especially if you're right at the beginning of the journey. And if you want to go through each of these steps, I'll be holding your hand along the way. It's little mini sessions with maxi impact, but easy to fit in around your other priorities in your life. I know it's hard, and that's one of the biggest complaints or concerns I get from people, saying, I don't know how I'm going to manage this with a young child and around my full-time work. It's already quite stressful and I don't have any time. I want to still, do my fitness and my hobbies. And so absolutely, if you can't manage these little mini sessions, maybe this week is not the right time. You can do it another time. But if you can't, then probably starting a business right now is not the right thing for you, right? Because if you can't find a few half-hour, 20-minute slots here and there in the week, then it's very unlikely you'll be able to build a business that's going to be able to replace your full-time income. So then absolutely, I'd encourage you to focus on your family, focus on your health, continue in your job if you're able to do that, if that's something, you're happy to do. If not, if you want my help, of course, to carve out that time and make it work, then again, join us in the escape plan, message me, get in touch, we can get on the phone and I can help you move forward and find a way to make this possible for you, even if maybe it'll take longer than perhaps you hope originally. It's slow and steady wins the race, right as they say. Much better to take little steps consistently. And of course, my whole brand is one step outside. You don't have to take a massive leap. You don't have to make massive progress in one day. And we'll find a way that works for you, because that's what it's all about. Thanks so much for listening. That was the 5 pillars of building a life outside the 9 to 5, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now. As it turns out, deciding that you want to create a career and a life for yourself outside of the 9 to 5, deciding to quit your job and start a business is only the beginning. It is a massive step. It requires a lot of courage and commitment, but it's just the very first step. Through the twists and turns of my own transition out of my corporate employment into working for myself, and through supporting my clients and community over the past several years, I've identified 5 key areas that you need to focus on to make your business and your lifestyle viable for the long term. To find out more about these 5 pillars and to check to see where you are in each of the 5 pillars, grab the free scorecard at onestepoutside.com/5 pillars. That's onestepoutside.com/5 pillars.